Are you ready to listen to a podcast?
This is TripleYourClients.com with your host, Andy Brown.
Find, subscribe, and listen.
Expert marketing advice to triple your clients today.
Now you can start listening.
Welcome to episode 19 of TripleYourClients.com podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on board. I do appreciate the fact that you have taken time out of your precious day, your working day, to tune in to this show. And that's why I try and give you no fluff and always give you principles, strategies and tips that you can actually action now rather than put aside. They are things that you can take on board. Generally, there's no fluff. I do believe in telling your story for your internet marketing, and I kind of, sometimes that can be a bit fluffy, but it does hook you in emotionally. That's the side of the marketing I'm very strong on. But in these shows, I can talk about myself all day long, but I know your time's precious, and if you carry on listening to the show, then hopefully we'll get better acquainted. You'll understand more about where I'm coming from, and there will be a story coming through. But generally, let's keep the fluff down because the time is precious. So today we're talking about evergreen marketing, and evergreen marketing is a core principle in all of my marketing, and it's one of my top recommendations. It's a principle that you can apply to whatever your marketing is, whether it's video marketing, email marketing, the reports you write. If you're setting up a podcast, then you may want to be thinking about evergreen content there as well. So there's a lot that you can apply this principle to. And as I've already mentioned, evergreen content is effectively timeless content. So if you write a blog post and someone reads it in a month's time, a year's time, or 2 years' time, it's relevant. They're not thinking, okay, it's good information, but really it's not applicable now because we've now moved 2 years on. No, it's not that. It's information that, for all intents and purposes, they believe you've written that very day or a couple of days ago. So there's principles in how you actually write the evergreen content, and one of them is that you don't actually put any dates into your this kind of content, because if you start mentioning a date and years and times, very easy people can make the wrong assumption that your information isn't right for them. It is dated. Everyone likes new stuff, new information, and once they're having an excuse in their mind to move on to something else because they believe it's not the best information they can get at this moment in time, then you're kind of on a sticky wicket. When you're scanning in Google and you research on something and you've got all these different listings, sometimes you can see the dates, and it can be, you have to make a judgment call. You might see an article that's been posted from 2008, 2007, and then you see one 2014, and you can see I'm already dating this podcast by putting dates in it, but hopefully you can understand I have to do that to explain the example I'm giving here. But you have all these different dates, so you have to think, okay, there's something there written in 2007, is it applicable to me, is it relevant? Should I go and look at the one that's written in 2014? Well, there'll be a reason why Google's still listing something from 2007, 2008, and the reason will be it's because it's very good content and people commented on it, and it's got a lot of inbound links. So yes, go and check that out. So always be mindful of dates, but also on the reverse of that, when you have dates, you also have the common dates through the year, the recurring ones like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Easter, Father's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving over in the States. So you have the opportunity there of writing content about these dates, tying your content into these dates, so that every year when someone looks up your service in connection with those dates, it comes up, so you can use it to your advantage. So be mindful of the two sides of using dates when you're creating timeless content like that. So specifically, I've used timeless content or evergreen content in my email marketing. So I built up a list of emails that go out one a week, and someone has bought having read 70 emails or 80 emails or even just 10 or 5. Doesn't really matter when the sequence of emails they've actually made their purchase having read an email, because every email is timeless. So you build up this catalogue of emails. You don't have to do it all in one day. That's impossible. But if you keep adding emails to your autoresponder series, but make sure they're not dated, that they are timeless, that they are evergreen, then really, someone's reading this content and they're believing that you're pushing out the content there and then in real time. But effectively, these emails have been written maybe over the past few years. So if you can build that up, and when you get someone to sign up for your report, and then you have the emails coming out, like I say, every week or every month, and they're not suddenly going to get one out of the blue, which is dated, which is out of context, then you actually are creating a foundation that will bring in more and more people into your network, into your buying systems, because you've actually set up this system. And particularly with blogging, if you set yourself out to write a 1,000-word blog on an article, if you answer questions, or you create a tutorial, or a list of resources, if you do any of those kind of articles which lend themselves towards evergreen content, then they will serve you very well. I have an article on Google where if someone searches AdWords headlines, it's usually number 1 or number 2, and that serves me very well. And every single day someone's searching on that phrase, and it's bringing me in content. And the way I've structured it, it is a list. It works very well. There's nothing in there that will date it. So if someone reads it in 5 years' time, it will still be applicable. So there's little tricks there to set up your content, and just to sort of review them again. I would say that if you can set up content that's based on sort of questions, tutorials, resources, lists, that kind of thing, it will serve you very well, and you'll find that you'll build up a catalogue of blog posts that will bring in traffic over time, and it will increase because the ones that you wrote a year ago, 2 years ago, are still bringing the traffic, because you haven't put all your time and energy into creating content that is sort of newsworthy. Yes, write about an offer. Yes, write about the fact that your company sponsored an event, that you have something special coming up for a Christmas offer, or something that is a one-off occasion. Write about that, but mix it into some really good evergreen content that you are continually creating, because you will see that when you look into your Google Analytics, you will see the growth if you apply that strategy. And also a great thing is, we are in this quick fire world with social media. Well, why not actually write some tweets where you reach out and say, look at this content, and you can do that continually. You have a catalogue, say, of 20, 30 articles, and you think, well, what can I tweet about today? Or you can actually refer people to an article that maybe was written 2 or 3 years ago. It doesn't matter, because if the content is evergreen and useful, then it will serve you well. I do recommend that when you have a blog, a WordPress blog on your website, that you remove the date, or at least don't make it so obvious. A lot of blogs will have the date there, and it's some of the typeface and the font size is as large as a headline. I don't believe that serves you too well. I believe you either customize it so it doesn't appear, or you kind of hide it away somewhere. That's just sort of one of my tips on that. So that's just a roundup of evergreen content. I hope that's given you an overview of the way I see it. It does particularly help my email marketing, and also my blogging, as I mentioned with the AdWords article, and more so with this podcast. You'll see, if you review all the different titles, the different podcasts, I do try to make them evergreen, so that if you listen to this show, for instance, in 2 or 3 years' time, the principles there, nothing, the world of internet marketing could change, but you would still seek value from the podcast. There will be, sometimes I will do a podcast where I'll feature a new gizmo, a new product, a new change in Google AdWords or Facebook advertising that I think you really should know there and then. Can't always be evergreen content, but the majority of the time, if you do lend yourself to building a system where you are creating the content in this way, then you will be successful. And it is a great, like I say, principle to base all your marketing on. So thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that's been of some value. As always, there'll be another show. There's always a show every single day during the week. And I always enjoy reaching out, understanding your problems, your pain points, reviewing what I know about marketing, and also the way in which I work with my clients, and seeing if I can dovetail the two together, so I can give you a tip that's been valuable to me, and then I can pass on to you. And the best platform so far for me has been these podcasts, and I will continue to do them as long as you keep sharing them with your friends and family and business colleagues, and we'll have a lot more fun. So thank you for tuning in. I look forward to speaking to you again. It's been an absolute pleasure, and take care.